And we are back here, boys and girls, for Onic Indonesia versus DIANFENGYAOGUAI. And we find ourselves in a position where it's actually the FYG who are ahead in the series.
Yep, it's 1-0. 1-0 in favor of DFYG. And the beats of the draft are going pretty similarly. Onic might be letting go of their Hilda first phase ban, something that they banned alongside the Grok and Juice earlier in game number 1. While still, it is very set for DFYG. Wouldn't be surprised if they continue this of just Kalea, Fanny, and Yu Zhang again, and then play for some different trades.
Yeah, definitely the draft. Even though they did have like a 50-50 draft, definitely it felt a lot easier for DFYG to play around it, just because they also had like the Lapu Lapu, right? And the Lapu Lapu just did so much to just make it so easy to get a team fight going.
Yeah.
And because of that, feels like the Harif is gonna get removed as well. Another pain point in the game earlier, I gotta say.
Yeah.
So this is actually fine.
Yeah, of course, the Harith being a terrific last pick for DFYG. It rounded out the damage profile that they needed a little bit better. And of course, Long showing off why he also won in lane using a Harith in yesterday's series. And I believe that might also have just been a call by Onic. It's like, yeah, we can't let the Harith get through for them. He's really good at it. So I like that now Onyx looking towards the Eve as a priority. But definitely this is going to be telegraphed by DFYG. No way they're going to be giving an Eve just like that to Onyx unless they're prepped with something else. So just instantly they go for the Lancelot and they go for the Hilda. So I think this is also expected by Onyx though, considering that they gave up the Hilda ban and now it ends up with DFYG.
Yeah, that's like an insta-lock right there. Like, you were just mentioning it, and you were just about to check their draft, and the DFYG immediately lock in the Lancelot and the Hilda. But I love this. This Lapu Lapu on the side of Onic Indonesia just makes it so that they can actually just play around it, you know? Start the fight with Lapu Lapu, and then just give Sans breathing room or very easy ways to get the fight in their favor.
Yeah, so now the question is if they're going to get their gold laner or jungler. They still get their gold laner, and this time they focus on the Claude. So the carry pick is going to be coming in later, and I wouldn't be surprised if DFIG just start committing bans onto the Hayabusa and Yu Shin, or give one of those two heroes up, and then just readjust their bans or their picks to counter the eventual jungler for Onic. They take away the Esmeralda by picking it up for themselves now, and that is instantly just going to be going into the EXP lane to face up against that Lapu Lapu.
Yeah, that's a pretty good matchup, DFYG. I mean, it's not the best. Honestly, it feels like the Lapu Lapu is still more mobile, and it's a lot more teamfight oriented, but Esmeralda is definitely something that you can't really face off straight up. And you also have a Claude, right? The Claude can't rely too much on the shielding for him to survive. Same with the Lapu.
Yeah. So, if Kiboy ends up with getting the Rome Badang here again, that's actually going to make this Esmeralda really happy. That it would make sense if they just take out the Cho and then the Gatot Kacha. I don't think Onic has to take out the Gatot, because if they put this Esmeralda in the gold, Hilda and XP, and then they put a Rome Gatot Kacha, they're gonna be lacking in damage. And they'll need to pick up something like the Kimmy, because they just can't all be cooldown based. They'll also need some continuous attack getting dished out, and Kimmy would be like the last best option instead of going for a Farsa or a burst style mage.
Yeah, that Farsa is something that we saw earlier. Was able to actually deal with the Eve quite well, but it's gonna get banned out. So what's the mid lane option looking like here for DFYG?
As I just said earlier, Kimmy will probably be their next best bet.
Kimmy's look good. Is there a possibility of it getting banned out? Like, is there a way that like an alternative for that?
Yeah, that's a sad thing though. So as expected, they take out the Gatot Kacha. If Onic decides to ban out the Kimmy here, then they're probably gonna end up left with something like a Kagura, most likely, or the Valentina even. The Valentina might be their next best bet if they just want to make sure that they can get the real-world manipulation. If Onic do not ban out the Kimmy, then they'd rather face into it. But I think to be safe, Onic just needs to take it out. I think Kimmy covers a little bit more of what they... Oh, the low Yi! Okay, good read. So they're willing to play into the Kimmy because they'd rather take out the low Yi. All right, okay.
That is decent. That is actually decent here for Onic. Now, Kimmy is an option. Not that it has an easy time, right? It has a pretty hard time against like players like heroes like the Lapu Lapu, heroes like the Eve. But again, can't really pick that, brother. As much as we want you to pick it, can't. And Long going back to a comfort pick.
Yep.
Going for the Moscow.
Yeah, so as expected, it is gonna be basic attack-based marksman. They could still go for the Hayabusa. I think the Hayabusa is just going to be a really solid pick in the end. Even though they're up against the Hilda. Then they pick up maybe like a Hylos or Badang. I'm a little bit iffy. Khalid, I don't see enough.
Want to throw it up?
It's just... well, it was banned.
Oh yeah, banned out. Sorry. Banned out.
So it's either the Badang or the Hylos. Maybe Freaky Boy. Unless he digs deep and picks up something like a Tigreal. I don't know. Oh, a Barats. Okay.
Really?
So of course he got adjusted and by the patch. And now they're going to lock in the Guinevere as well. Lots of crowd control. Okay.
Ooh, all right. This looks good. This looks really good for Onic Indonesia. I like it. I feel like not a lot of roamers will consider the Guinevere, but recently it has been really rising in usage. So
yeah.
Guinevere roam really good at stopping a lot of mobile heroes in its tracks, and that's going to do well against the Lance. It's going to do well against the Moskov, even the Hilda in some scenarios.
Yeah. So either the Valentina or Kimmy, unless they're... Will they go something off kilter? Probably not. We have been talking about the Kimmy for a while here. There's a lot of basic attack. If they want a little bit more control and they even steal the Detonus Welcome, then the Valentina would be good. But yeah, we've been saying it in earlier. They ended up getting up the Kimmy. So it's Onic who decided to flex a little bit more creativity in this draft because that's where they ended up getting forced into. They have some really strong crowd control effects, and I think it's time we talk about what has been changed by Barats in the latest draft. So if his ultimate misses, if he doesn't get to bite anyone with Detonus Welcome, the cooldown gets reduced by 50%. If the ultimate hits, Detona immediately gains max stacks of the big guy passive. So if you just want to land your ultimate, if you're rushing to get into a fight, you don't need to get stacks first and then use your ultimate. If it hits, you get stacks right away. They also remove the effect of Barrett's getting stacks of big guy when respawning. And there is increased HP bonus for the additional damage. From 1.8%, it is now 5% of your total HP. So the more HP Barrett's has, he's happy.
And you know what? It's actually about time. It's just so weird for Barras that you have to keep stacking up for a long time, and then you go for a big fight, and then you have to do it all over again. This time around, it feels like more intuitive, right? To actually use the Barrats, and I really appreciate that change onto him. Maybe one of these could be the signal here for Barrats to actually start entering pro play again after a long time of just making like random appearances out of nowhere. Might be a really good staple pick, especially if Onic Indonesia can prove that here in this game.
Yeah, I think it is a big deal. The fact that the little bit of reworks and adjustments to when he gets his cooldown, the max stacks, once you get the bite, should be all well and good. I mean, I'm definitely okay, and I would not want to see another heyday of it's always just Barrett's versus Fredrin. I'm fine. I don't need to see that again. But just to have like another option, it's totally fine by me. That's cool, you know? Like, I would rather see a little bit more of that. Where, okay, you can bring in Barrett's from time to time if you want to. Similar to how Fredrin is now, similar how to Akai is now.
That's true. At least, again, expanding the jungle option is probably one of their a big priority as well. You don't want to go back to just only Frederick and Akai and stuff like that, right? And the Baksha, obviously. So, yeah, we're in a really good spot, and it feels like if we can find more. Again, the Guinevere also tried to be a jungler sometime in the past. So, I'm not saying it's a good idea, but I'm just saying, can happen. Maybe someday along the line. But here we go. Game number 2. It's Onic Indonesia, who are down a game against DIANFENGYAOGUAI. But I have to say, after reviewing the draft, Onyx got like a pretty sizable advantage if like it's just a head-to-head, right? Because you gotta admit, DFYG's lineup, hella greedy. Like, oh my god. You got
Get
2
another
marksmen up on you.
Yeah, it will take some time. So there is a risk of Onic just snowballing on them, steamrolling them through this Barretts. The good thing is, again, we got to see it earlier, wherein as long as your conditions are set, you know that you just need to hold. Similar to, I believe it was the Mythic Seal game earlier that we saw in that game number 2, wherein they had a much later game lineup. They were just able to hold on, and then eventually take the win later in the game. It's a similar story. On the side of Onic, you have a lineup that could potentially just run over DFYG. But if DFYG can keep things close, keep the gap just hovering around 3,000 to 4,000 at worst, then there's a really good chance that they can make a comeback through this, as long as they can get some good farm for long. Because the problem is, if it's the jungle that's actually getting majority of the farm, and let's say Kimmy and the Moskov are both lagging significantly behind, then even if they're still within range of 3,000 to 4,000, that's going to be a really hard comeback. So if someone's going to struggle, make sure the other 2 are good with farm, or at least have kept it close. That's how you make sure you get to bring it back in around 14 minutes, 15 minutes, and hit your power spike then, and especially have a very threatening presence in the game for Onic to deal with.
I mean, what threatening presence, though? What do you think is that threatening presence? Because, right, you're absolutely right. Like, if, for example, we go into the game, and we see that they're even in gold for like maybe the next 6 minutes or 7 minutes, that's already good, right, for DFYG. But yeah, I wonder what presence they can do aside from the Hilda in the early, or maybe Super Ken on the Lancelot, right?
Yeah. I was talking about the farm, the items. That's really just going to be their ace up their sleeve. That's their presence that they're going to be waiting to be getting past 14 minutes, around 15 minutes, if ever it doesn't go their way. The good thing is they have a good matchup in the EXP lane for the Esmeralda against the Lapu Lapu. Although this time around it might be a little bit better for Skylar, but instantly you see the aggression by Onic, and they can afford to do this, playing around the Barretts.
Playing around that Barretts. Again, you're waiting for that ultimate, right? You want Deadness Welcome. You want to see that. Again, you have a lot of heroes that can actually take advantage of the skills that you have here. So good early game damage coming in from Kiboy, possibly once you hit the Violet Requiem, and also pretty good damage on the Eve. You know, as we talked about, Eve usually is like a really high DPS hero. You kind of forget that it's not bursty, but it is continuous damage and slow and burn. So yeah, let's see if they can use that. And then for now, luckily for the Esmeralda, for Vel, Lutpi is actually having a hard time dealing with it straight up, which is to be expected on that lane, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, one of the core survivability for Lapu Lapu is to just have innate shielding capabilities, something that's the Esmeralda is very happy to go up against. So now, with the first big fight, for DFIG, they're just hoping they don't suffer a massive loss. Like, if this ends up becoming 3-0, bro, that's going to be a struggle for DFIG, and it's going to be a really late game for them. But if they can keep it close, then they should be good. Onic, though, if they get this, it's going to be massive.
Yeah, this is going to be massive if Onic can actually just get this early on. But Vel is very proactive here. Lutpi already using up the Bravest Spider. Rushing. They're bum rushing straight into the turtle here. Using the traction pulse. Oh, it's going to be stolen by Super Ken. What the hell? And now this is going to be a big, very bad team fight here. Kyrie is up in front. He's going to be the sacrificial lamb. Sans trying to do some decent damage from the back line, but Super Ken is dancing in and out. He's going to go down, though. Long's coming in, but as you can see, this Moskov just doesn't really quite have enough damage yet, but you know what? The FYG got the turtle, and they got some decent amount of gold for that as well. Lutpi, though, going in with the Bravest Spider, some decent output here. No Zed! Oh my god, that is a Hilda! It is gonna hurt, and they're gonna be getting another kill in their pockets!
Great rotation by Zed. I think Ludwig decided to commit that because he definitely was thinking, oh, no way the Hilda's gonna come to me, right? Like, Zed's not gonna go all the way here. I can just duel it out with Vel. Wait, no, the Hilda is here. And that's another kill going on over to the Esmeralda. Ludwig struggled in game 1, will be struggling here yet again. DFYG, them getting a win in that turtle was massive for their cause because Lung is still deathless. He's still farming. Skylar, though, is still relatively undisturbed, but DFIG will be okay with that. They're playing with 3 carries in their lineup. Long.
Yeah, they're here to just survive in the early games, not to win even. But look at that. They're actually outputting some pretty decent pressure. You know what? When I was actually estimating this lineup for DFYG, maybe I forgot about how good a good of a poke that Kimmy can actually dish out, especially if the traction pulse just keeps hitting, you know?
Well, so much damage is on the way for DFYG if Onic cannot find a way to stop them. This second turtle take might just be the difference here. They should have enough now in their tank through the Eve, through the Barretts, and even a little bit of the Claude to now take it to DFYG. But Zed has been, again, great man marking for Zed. Vel as well, definitely a huge nuisance for Onic. Now DFYG have started things off.
Yeah, they're starting it off, and actually it's a pretty decent start here. Of course, on the side, it's going to be Lutfi hunting down Yon, and I think he will find him. That's going to be another kill going over to them, but it looks like Turtle is not the prio. It's going to be taking down Kyrie, and that means that's going to be Retribution going over to DFYG once more. But look at this really, really good team fight coming in with the Blazing Duet. Oh, they catch him though, and that is going to be 3 members going down for Onic Indonesia. Lutfi is on the run. Same with Sans. Not enough mana, not enough damage output to actually deal with this really scary Esmeralda. Even using the bravest fighter to dip in that moment. Man, oh man, DFYG, after all that, even got a turret on topside, Renmar.
DFYG get another win, and Onic now are scrambling. It looked good initially. Lutfi did a great job of zoning out and taking down E1, but DFYG readjusted their focus and just decided, give it all to the Barretts, then we back off, readjust, the push and pull yet again. Similar to what they showed off in game number 1, DFYG are really showing off how much they've improved since we last saw them in a major international. Now they are potentially on the way to sweeping Onic. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's still 6 minutes in. Kiboy eventually got the counter back with a great re-entry. The spatial migration and flicker started it off. But because of the lead that Vel has built up for himself as the Esmeralda, he's 4-0-1. Onic do not have the damage just yet to deal with this. It's going to be tough, and now Lutfi's in trouble.
Yeah, Lutfi is going to get caught here in the traction pulse. Luckily, we'll be able to do the CC immune maneuver on the Lapu Lapu. But yeah, look at that. Look at this rotation that DFYG is doing, making sure that the top side just cannot be farmed at all, forcing Skylar to go bottom to get even more gold for him.
If DFIG win this next turtle again with 2 kills plus and Onic don't match that, it's not going to look good for Onic. It's going to be DFIG now taking control of the game. Hopefully, Skylar got enough farm for his Claude to eventually just match now the damage output that DFIG has. But will it also even be enough to take out the Esmeralda? Super Ken showed himself up top.
Oh, look at Zed. He's just going hard on the Sans there. And again, once more, it is going to be Super Ken with that turtle. Kyrie going to get basically melted in the DPS. That is Yon. That is Vel.
Skylar
right now up on front, even forcing the flicker out of Lutfi, as well as the rest of the Onic lineup. And now here's Skylar going in the back line, trying to hunt down Long. He's actually going to find him. There goes that comeback possibility, but Skylar will also be dealt with here by Super Ken. Nice prediction on where he's actually going to go back, or when he's going to go back. And so far, so good for DFYG. They're still keeping this relatively sizable lead.
All turtles have gone over to Super Ken and DIANFENGYAOGUAI. Onic now, though, the saving grace is Skylar. He does have the damage, and Kyrie, it took a lot of DFYG's damage to try and just take him down. So it might be so that even with all the damage that DFYG has, Kairi might just have enough to just hold down long enough for Skylar and Sans to deal majority of the damage and or finish off what the other members of Onic have already started. But as it stands, the FYG has the lead. Super Ken has been finding some really good trades. Vel hasn't died yet. Long only went down once, but he's racked up some 5 assists. Not a lot of kills yet for him. E1 as well has been positioning relatively well. It's just they were caught off guard by the eventual entries. As long as the FYG keep watching out and maximize their purifies, every team fight is going to be difficult for Onic.
100%, especially if Zed just keeps going unchecked, right? I want to also check the items if possible. I want to see if the Chastise Pauldron is already completed. For sure, that's like a big core item if your opponent is a Claude. And they're trying to deal with it now as well on top side, especially here on the bottom. Look at that. They might be starting to build towards it. And they take out Skylar just like that. What the heck? Where did that amount of damage come from? Feels like they just bursted him into oblivion.
It's built in, it's all natural, it's all natty damage from DFYG, and they're gonna be able to get this Lord. They're zoning out Onic. Onic can't get close.
This Hilda is just paying off dividends.
Look at Vel
right now. And look at that, Vel. He's actually fighting against 4 members of Onic and somehow just actually surviving. Again, the perks of just being an Esmeralda. But look at that. Finally, that is well going to be used up here. And here comes Long, though. The backup is real. And the big dive. Falling Star will use up by Vel as well. And looks like that's going to be the disengage. We got the big Lord Wave coming up on top side. And the bottom, we got Long as well. And there you go. Feels like they just want to go all-out damage here. They don't want to build defensive at all.
Onic used a lot of their abilities there. And they are going to be somewhat lacking. Good thing the push of the Lord up top isn't as fast as it could have been. So RWM is back. The Violet Requiem is back. Lapu Lapu will get his Bravest Fighter and Raging Slashes back as well. They're just waiting for Death on his welcome now for Onic. But for DFYG, again, it's just... as long as they just keep watching their positioning, Vel is nigh unstoppable at this point. So far, the answer to if Onic do they have enough damage to take down this Esmeralda, it's no. He's surviving 5v1s, 4v1s, man. And only with Zed there to help.
Yeah, especially now that he already completed the Blade Armor and Chastise is on Zed alongside the Oracle. So you know that this front line is just gonna keep going non-stop. Even against a Blazing Duet, maybe even against a Lapu Lapu with the Bravest Fire, and even against obviously the Violet Requiem. So let's go ahead and see if if anything is gonna change here. So far, so good. The FYG keeping the tempo up. Massive map control for the Chinese squad.
I hope our slowly growing, passionate community in China is watching, and I hope the news is spreading that DFYG is on the way to beating Onic.
They are on the way for sure, but look at that, the counter engage coming in from Sans and the Blazing Duet undisrupted here for Skylar. Actually did some pretty decent damage, taking down 3 members of the FYG just like that. All of a sudden, tables could possibly be turned, especially if Sans gets a Void Crystal here and a Void Blast. That's going to be catching Long for sure. Look at that, they're fighting back. Some decent damage coming in from the FYG, and that's good to kick back. Signs of life from Onic.
And that is a massive heat check. DIANFENGYAOGUAI cannot afford a loss like that yet again. You're starting to feel it. The sustainability and tankiness of Kairi, of Kiboy together as well. The damage that can just be dished out surprisingly by the Lapu Lapu. Lutpi decided to build up a Blade Armor. So did Kairi, who just completed it now. So the damage output getting brought out by the Kimi, by the Moskov, is going to go back to hurt them back as well. So as long as, again, we said it, the condition for DFYG was they gotta be careful, maximize the purifies, and they slipped at that moment. Zed was caught out. It wasn't the perfect start for DFYG. Yes, their gold laners, or their damage dealers, excuse me, were able to hold, but now immediately Vel start to feel like, wait a minute, they're starting to hurt. I'm not as unstoppable as I thought it was. So Onic definitely has a chance for a comeback. There's Boy.
They catch him, and Zed actually will be able to survive the Violet Requiem. The re-engage is real, coming in from Vel with the Falling Star Moon. Might be exactly what DFYG needs to get this Lord started. Now, Vel is up on front. Zed is too, checking those bushes, making sure there's just no way for Kyrie to make an entrance, but I'm pretty sure they will force it. Right now, Lutpi waiting for an opening here to use that Bravest Fighter. Kyrie has an on-demand crowd control as well. This Esmeralda could get disabled anytime, but looks like they are actually not afraid of it. They're dancing up on front. Zed's actually quite low, and there's a big split from Long. He's actually not going away from this fight, and that might be the opening Onic needs. Look at that.
Can't lose Vel.
Falling Star Moon gonna get canceled here. Traction Pulse already used up, and here comes that Bravest Fighter we're looking for. And nom nom nom, that goes. That's gonna be the Hilda gonna get taken out. And there's the advantage that Onic are looking for.
They lose one, but they have to send back two because of the split push of Long. Smartly so, he did not use the SOD to join that sequence. The other members of DFYG were too far behind. Still a man advantage for Onic, and it still looks good for them. All the objectives so far have gone towards DFYG's way. But now that it has become a much healthier Barrett that can survive and sustain a lot of damage, this might not be as easy as Super Ken thought it would be in terms of being able to win this retry battle, and this could be a very crucial one.
That's right. Super Ken feels like such a juicy target as well. Not as strong as he was like 5 minutes ago. And we are going to see Onic this time trying to handle the Lord, trying to put it on the half, getting a threat into the blitz. Looks like it's going to be a signal here going in for DIANFENGYAOGUAI. It's Super Ken with a steal on the Lord. And just like that, the DFYG are on the run. Basically, a thief in the night. My goodness, that was such a good take from DFYG.
Super Ken gets the Lord. And just like that, DFYG got away, and they were at risk because Skylar had a great entry with the Blazing Duet, but they just all committed for the run. The good thing is, though, now for the Siege, there was no Purify committed by DFYG, so they have a little bit of room to work with in terms of making mistakes, in terms of getting caught, while Skylar and Kaboy had to use their flickers in that engagement to actually get a good start for Onic. 15 minutes in, could this be it? DFYG, will they make history? This will be a massive high-profile win for the region.
100%. I can see this definitely hitting the headlines here, especially over in the region. And now, got a lot of Purifies locked in. I don't blame it if they can't really catch a lot of people. That's free Purifies ready to go for DFYG. And that's going to be the engage for Kiboy. Finally uses the Violet Requiem on the Vel, though, but Vel will be able to shrug off some of that damage. And now with the swap over the Queen's Wings, Super Ken feels like he is also such a difficult target to hit in this game.
So DFYG knew that they could not force anything there. You saw the damage getting brought out by the real-world manipulation. The risk of suddenly Skylar showing up out of nowhere. Based off of the last sequences that we've seen, Lutpi has also been taking some really long routes to get some great flank angle entries with the Lapu Lapu. So if they overcommit in one area and they leave E1, if they leave Long unattended, DFYGs are just going to get surprised as to where the damage is. It's because most likely Lutpi has zoned them out. So they are going for the full systematic, full discipline route here, taking it little by little, because that's the way that they can afford it. They have to wait for the main big ultimates of Onic to come out. The Detonus Welcome, the RWM. They could waste out the Violet Requiem and the Spatial Migration entry through their Purifies. But they can't allow Onic to layer all of that over and over again because their Purifies can only purify so much.
That is true. Like, those Purifies can get overloaded quite easily. So, DIANFENGYAOGUAI is definitely not out of the danger zone just yet. Onyx lineup is very explosive. Onyx lineup can really take you by surprise, especially very squishy targets, just like Long on the Moskov, and actually even Gakimi, right? So, keep your eyes on the map, especially in this next team fight.
Bit of damage there onto Lutpi. Bit of a warning shot of how much it hurts right now. Long with Husk Claws. Oh, the entry!
Oh, they find it. Again, the Purify will be popped here, but the damage is going into Kyrie. He cannot actually ignore that, and Kyrie will get taken out just like that. Bell up on front actually still doesn't have the Falling Star Moon. Violet Requiem will not be casted by Kiboy, and DFYG are starting on the Lord. Maximum vision being provided here by Zed on the side. Bell is up on front. And again, Yon all alone near the pit. I'm not sure what the plan is here. They're deciding to go for the reset instead.
Yeah, they can. Super Ken still has cooldown on his Retribution. It's just only about to come back.
Oh, that's true. Oh my goodness. Look at that. And now I guess with all said and done, when they really want to go ahead and put the pressure on, DFYG can actually do it. They shove back Onic, and they're going to be conceding this Lord.
It spawns instantly. Kyrie will be back. It's going to be a full 5v5 for the defense. 14,000 gold for Skylar. Buying and selling items. Sans just got the Ice Queen wand. Full build, no boots. Malefic gun. Haskloss. The full shebang there for Moscow. They got all they need. Who presses buttons better? That's the question at the end of the day.
And yeah, for sure, we're going to go ahead and lock it in. Bell is actually in very critical danger here. Low HP right now. Zed up on front. Kyrie and Skylar trying to whittle down this Lord as fast as possible. Just getting ready for a possible team fight. But it's Lutfi who's actually going to start this fight right now. They take out Yon. That is huge. They're fighting up inside the real world manipulation. And Jake just cannot deal with the damage. Long already used up his dashes as well.
Oh my god!
Oh my goodness, no way Ken finds Lutfi just like that. And they're going to be able to at least take one, but DIANFENGYAOGUAI actually lost free in that fight.
Definitely massive win for Onic. Super Ken and Long though, I thought they'd go down as well, but they held on. But the cooldown or the respawn timers are a bit too long there. E1 lost his footing. They didn't respect the range. They didn't respect Lutfi being able to close the gap once the Wind of Nature was forced to be able to clear up the minion waves. But let's see, maybe Onic will try to find a way to end this before the other members of DFYG come back, but the respawn timers are about to end.
That's true. It would have been possible, but
no.
Obviously there's just 15 seconds on the clock and the minion waves are just so far out. Good information for Long. He finds Kiboy, but I don't think they can actually stop them from taking this purple. Might be a pretty good opening later on for DFYG to make it. Again, that goal lead feels like it's non-existent at this point. Yeah. Everyone just has the items they need. And you're absolutely right. It all depends on who can actually just micro better at this point.
Imagine how massive a win it would be for DFYG when it came down to micro versus micro. They can say they beat Onic, but we're not there yet. Onic are showing off why they are the champions of Indonesia back-to-back this year, fighting back, holding on. Despite only having 2 turrets left in base, they are still definitely in this. DFYG, massive tower lead, but as we saw, slipping little by little in big team fights. Onic showing off with their veterancy and their sheer micro mechanics to get the lead.
Yeah, you can really tell that Onic has been here time and time again. This position is not new to them at all. They're going to have a little bit of a head start here. They're going to have bush checks on the turtle around the left side at least. Here comes DFYG. The rest of the squad is going to be arriving. Kyrie's up on front. Skylar is
Kiboy
on the side. Kiboy is going to get spotted out by Super Ken, or is it the other way around? And there you go. They're just waiting it out each other, whittling out. There goes the real world already used up. You're going to be able to use the Falling Star Moon to walk on out there. That is real world on cooldown. That might be an opening as well for DFYG, but let's see who's going to pull the trigger first. This is so far turning into a big game of chicken. And yeah, basically just waiting for each other's cooldown to get into the proper timing. Look at that.
Really just showing off who's the better at the Lord dance here. Onic, though, they're playing a lot of tricks, and it's working out very well for them. Zed pressured in the mid by Lutfi. Soft reset yet again. And now, the FYG are trying to find a way to open this out because they can make the most out of their Moskov as well. Oh, Kyrie!
Yeah, 100% Kyrie was the target there for DFYG, which they did earlier as well. I think 2 to 3 times. But I don't think they can do it at this point. There's just no way that you can immediately burst down Barats at this point of the game with just Vo's free. But now Lutfi looking like he wants to make sure that he can check at least that bush.
Conceal.
Here comes the conceal, man. Sans and Kiboy up on front. They're gonna get slowed down, but I think they will find their mark. Long is gonna get found, and that is gonna be the one down for DFYG, and it is their goal laner of all people. That's going to be a tough one to beat for DFYG. Now it's 5v4 on the Lord fight. They're making it a 4v4, actually. They do have to send out Lutfi on the top.
It's going to be a really long one. Onic, though, have a really good advantage. Kiboy with the spatial migration.
Gary be able to at least whittle him down very, very low. But look at that. Kiboy going to be absolutely disgustingly put low. Kyrie is in trouble. Gonna be able to buy a retribution or buy the immortality, but will still get taken out. And just like that, one by one, the Onic members are getting hunted down. They're trying to buy as much time as they can, but Lutfi will still be taken out. Look at that, Sans. Kiboy as well on the side. That's gonna be free. V4 with Long gonna be spawning very, very soon. Stopping the recall is also massive here. Boy, gonna have to walk all the way back to the base and buying even more space for DFYG.
Vel saved the sequence when Kyrie and Kiboy decided to initiate it around the center of the map. It was Vel with a falling star moon straight to the back, sending back Sans, forcing Onic to go out, leaving Kyrie alone with the other members of DFYG, leading to him getting taken down, leading to DFYG yet again getting this Lord.
And nice step on the knock-up here. Kiboy actually got the right target, but doesn't really have enough artillery or enough guns in the barrel to save the day. Super Ken gonna get taken. Oh my goodness, that was actually very close. Vel making a run for it. He has the immortality, just bought it, trying to buy as much time as he can though, but he will still get taken out, and that's going to be -1 for DFYG with the Lord walking on the bottom. This is going to be so hard for them to clear just because of that. It's a 1-for-1. Kiboy is actually out of commission as well.
Yeah. Back and forth, back and forth. Real world manipulation not back yet for the Eve. SOD not yet back. Traction Pulse not yet back. There's the SOD. It's back and it hits.
Oh, it's going to be hitting, and that's going to be pretty massive damage. Again, Kyrie is going to be the main tank for this lineup. He is going to be the main frontliner, and it's going to be Super Ken reaching to the back, forcing a flicker out of Sans. And there's the Lord. The DPS is going to be real. Long getting dove in by Lutfi, but it's just way too late. They're going to be removing the Lapu Lapu from the game. And Zed going to be the sacrificial lamb as well to make that happen.
Lutfi saving it for Onic. The dive and the jump and the damage onto E1 and Long. They couldn't get any closer to the crystal to try and hit it. All of the efforts of Zed, all of the efforts of Super Ken, their backliners could not help out. Zoned out by the Lapu Lapu. And this isn't over yet. 26 minutes in already.
This is not over by a long shot. And either way, right? Every time someone gets removed from the map, it just feels like both teams know that they cannot afford any major mistakes. They immediately almost back off. Right? So again, stuff like that can happen. But the important thing for Onic Indonesia, Kyrie must be kept safe. You know, that's weird, right? You're keeping your tank safe, but that is just the case here. If you lose Kyrie, that's going to be automatically Lord going over DFYG. You do not want that to happen. And right now, I'm wondering, who's the target for Kiboy here?
Just anyone he can start on, really. Even being able to force out a Purify is a great help. Rapid boost for Skylar to be able to rotate around the map significantly quicker, as he will be managing lanes and joining the fights as well. Kiboy goes in.
Like you mentioned right here, it is going to be used up onto Vel, the main tank here for DFYG. Now that's actually pretty good. You chunked out a pretty decent amount of health from the Esmeralda. Might make it hard for them to get these fights started, but I think Onic kind of senses that something's off. Someone's missing here, and that looks like it's Zed. Now,
SOD will not hit.
Patches are going to be the big question. Who is going to get caught first? Kiboy have to make a run for it with the spatial migration. Yon is up on front. You do not want to be like that. There you go. Vel going to be subbing it out. And Kyrie and Kiboy Sans on the side here. Again, Zed has been trying to make some plays happen for the last few seconds. I don't know what's up.
Yeah, Zed's way far back. He's actually the guy they're sending to manage the waves. It's not the Moskov, because they know that the value of the Moskov in these little skirmishes, in the lore dance, it's much higher than the value of the Hilda being here. So it's Hilda being sent to manage waves, while Moskov needs to be here to really add to the damage that DFYG needs to finally break through the very tanky front line. Traction pulse thrown out there might be a bit of a waste.
But you know who's also very high value in the team fight? That Lapu Lapu. I think they also might need Lutfi, because he's actually been the one that's been taking care of Long and Yeon for the last few engages. So, might want to make something happen here. You might want to send Lutfi back down, I guess. Because right now, I think he is getting hunted. Here's Long going hunting on that Lapu Lapu, while this Lord is actually getting Dawn Stun. And now on the top side, I can't see it, but it feels like Lutfi might be in trouble. Misses on the SOD though, so that might be massive. Now Kiboy and Kyrie up on front. This is possibly an opening here. Skylar already using up the Blazing Duet. Might not be ideal. That's one big tool out of the arsenal for the next few minutes here for Onic.
DFYG got to survive, and now Onic, they might actually lose it, but Kyrie's close enough. Who gets this?
Yeah, Kyrie can definitely go for the 50-50. And who is going to take it? Of course it is. The Sky Prince Sphinx just going in hard now is going to be the FYG, who seem to be very, very mad that you took their Lord. And now they are actually forcing it up onto the mid lane. And now that's a lot of red HP bars on the side of the FYG. I don't think, even though they seem to be mad. Oh, actually they are. They're going to go and re-engage Long with a very, very risky play there on the Moskov, forcing everyone back, and now it's going to be a full reset. Kyrie, for some reason, will be able to save it for Onic.
Sky King's things. Onic almost 30 minutes in. Now have the Lord and will be marching in. For majority of the game, they've only had 2 base turrets. They only have 1 left, but now they have the chance to win with this push. DFYG played that very well though. They baited Onic into that scenario, but in the end, they just decided to go for the 50-50 instead. Kyrie was not brought down low enough to apply pressure, and it was Super Ken who lost the retry battle. Here comes Onic.
Yeah, the pressure was really felt there, especially on Super Ken, despite them just having just a really sizable lead at that point. Now it's a Lord walking up on top. We are 30 minutes, and that Lord is really, really crunchy. And Super Ken gonna get taken out on the bottom. And even inside the base, they're having a hard time just DPSing this Lord nonstop. Zed trying to buy as much time as he can in the middle of the Onic lineup, and somehow actually will be able to survive. Here comes Long. It's all gonna be up to him. Zed's on the side. Immortality's already popped. And looks like we're not going home just yet. It is gonna be game number 3. Onic Indonesia beats the FYG right here, right now.
What a titanic series! 30 minutes! And Onic, majority of the game, it was them who was behind, them trying to play catch up. And DFYG just could not end it. Onic showing off their micro abilities, Sans making the most out of every real world manipulation, showing why Eve is one of the worst picks you can give to this team, because they have one of the craziest mid laners of all time piloting it. But of course, as a team, they played incredibly well. Skylar 6, 3, and 11. In the end there, he was making the most out of every Blazing Duet that he had. Somewhat wasted in the last big Lord fight, but in the moments that matter the most, the threat, the eventual and an undeniable threat that Skylar brings, with him just being able to easily access the backline alongside Lutfi to try and focus Lung and E1 down, was hanging over the heads of the FYG in every team fight, which is why you saw a lot of hesitation